When you're engaged, you want to believe you know everything about the person you're going to marry. You want to believe in their words, their promises, their reassurances. That's why I held on to her explanation every time I raised an eyebrow at her friendship with him. "He's like a brother to me," she'd always say, with that exasperated smile, like I was being silly for even asking. And I wanted to trust her. I really did. Her best friend had been in her life long before I came along. They'd grown up together, gone to the same schools, even vacationed with each other's families. By the time I met her, their bond was already well established. He was at every gathering, every birthday, every holiday, and every time I felt a twinge of jealousy, she would roll her eyes and repeat the same line. "Stop. He's like a brother." I forced myself to believe it, to ignore the way he lingered in conversations with her, the way his hand sometimes rested on her shoulder a little longer than necessary, the way her laughter with him sounded just a little different than with anyone else. I told myself I was overthinking. I told myself she loved me. And then came the party. It was a Saturday night, a celebration for one of her co-workers' promotions. The apartment was packed, music thumping, drinks flowing, people scattered in every corner, talking, laughing, dancing. She and I arrived together, hand in hand, and for the first hour, everything felt normal. We mingled, chatted, shared smiles from across the room. But then he showed up. The moment he walked through the door, her eyes lit up. She excused herself mid-conversation and rushed over to hug him. He picked her up off the ground, spinning her around, and everyone laughed. My stomach clenched, but I forced a smile. "It's just how they are," I told myself. As the night went on, I watched them drift closer and closer together. They stood shoulder to shoulder in the kitchen, whispering jokes. They danced when the music picked up, laughing as if they were the only two people in the room. And every time I tried to join in, I felt like an intruder. Then it happened. I was sitting on the couch, talking with one of her co-workers, when I looked up and froze. Across the room, he sat down on a chair, and without hesitation, without even glancing around, she walked over and sat down on his lap, like it was the most natural thing in the world. Her arms wrapped casually around his shoulders. His hands settled on her waist. They both laughed at something someone said nearby, as if nothing was unusual about what they were doing. But to me, it was like the ground had disappeared beneath my feet. I felt my chest tighten, my pulse thunder in my ears. Every conversation around me blurred into background noise. All I could see was my fiancée, my future wife, sitting on another man's lap. The same man she'd sworn was like a brother. I couldn't move, couldn't breathe, couldn't believe what I was seeing. Did no one else notice? Did no one else think it was strange? A couple of people glanced their way, smirked, and kept talking. To them, maybe it was harmless, maybe it was just playful. But to me, it was betrayal in its rawest form. After what felt like an eternity, she finally stood up, brushing herself off, laughing like nothing had happened. She didn't even look at me as she walked back across the room. That was the moment something inside me cracked. Later that night, when we were finally alone, I couldn't hold it in any longer. "What the hell was that?" I asked, my voice shaking. She blinked at me. "What are you talking about?" "You know exactly what I'm talking about," I snapped. "You sat on his lap, in front of everyone, like it was nothing." She rolled her eyes. "Oh my God, are you serious right now?" "Yes, I'm serious," I shouted. "You're my fiancé, and you're sitting on another man's lap at a party like it's no big deal?" Her expression hardened. "He's my best friend. It didn't mean anything. You're blowing this way out of proportion." "Like a brother?" I asked bitterly. "That's what you always say, right? Would you sit on your brother's lap like that? Would you let him hold you like that?" Her silence was deafening. Finally, she muttered, "It was just a joke. We were just messing around. You're being paranoid." But I didn't feel paranoid. I felt betrayed. I tried to make her see it from my perspective, tried to explain how humiliating it felt to watch my fiancée act like that with another man. But the more I spoke, the more defensive she became. "You don't trust me," she accused. "If you did, this wouldn't even be an issue." And maybe she was right. Maybe trust was exactly what was broken, but not because of me. That night, lying awake beside her, I couldn't shake the image from my head. Her smiling on his lap, his hands on her waist, the way they fit together so comfortably. Too comfortably. For weeks, the image haunted me. Every time she mentioned his name, I pictured it again. Every time she laughed at her phone, I wondered if it was him. Every time she hugged me, I wondered if she'd hugged him the same way when I wasn't looking. She insisted it was innocent, that I was making a mountain out of a molehill. But innocence doesn't make your stomach drop. Innocence doesn't shatter the trust you thought you had. Innocence doesn't feel like betrayal. I realized something then. Love isn't just about how someone makes you feel when things are good. It's about how they make you feel when things are complicated, when lines are crossed, when boundaries are tested. And on that night, at that party, she showed me exactly where her boundaries ended. So when people ask me now why I called off the engagement, I don't go into detail. I don't tell them about the party or the lap or the fight that followed. I just say, because sometimes the person you think is your future shows you who they really are. And when they do, you have to believe them. Because the truth is, she always said he was like a brother. But that night, I finally saw what he really was, and what I wasn't.